Hello, this is wmpyr here to talk about trapping today. Why? Because trapping is such an interesting topic in the martial arts. For me, it was an enigma for many, many years. But anyway, so I want to focus on that and explain myself a little bit. But first off, in Arnis, Kali, and Eskrima, which is three different names for basically the same style of Filipino martial art, um, you start off pretty much with single and double stick, and then we also go into bladed weapons training. So traditionally, we're talking about a short sword. I like to substitute that with a machete personally, and then we also have knives. And then for me personally, to have like a modern touch to it, I go into folding knives. I go into utility knives and stuff. Although I do train with combat knives, but yeah, so. Those are the main areas, but then we also have something called Hubad. This kind of training also has a big portion of it. So if you go to any commercial Kali, Eskrima, or Arnis type school, you are going to learn Hubad type stuff. And what that is, Hubad, Lubad, sometimes it's referred to that. It has other names. Um, it's to kind of describe it in a way is if you've seen Wing Chun practitioners do Chi Sao, which is sticky hands, it's kind of similar to that. It's a partner drill, so you have a partner with you, and you are going to practice together. You could have a knife. They could also have a knife, training knife, or you could go empty hand. But you are exchanging moves off of a rhythm, off of a flow. So there's a pattern, which is a generator. So you guys are doing a pattern together, and then from there, the energy changes, the flow and the beat and the rhythm changes when you change the attack. So you throw in a different attack, and they're supposed to kind of like feel that and adapt to it, and then you go back to the same pattern, going over and over and over, and then they'll do an attack to you that's going to change the pace, and then you have to adapt to that. And it's just to add a little bit of element of chaos, a small amount of chaos within a very controlled fixed pattern. That's how to train that, right? Okay, so um, that is the trapping hands portion of Filipino martial arts, essentially. So that is where it kind of overlaps with Wing Chun. Okay, and that area, first of all, one of the main things that you're trying to do is something called sensitivity. You're trying to develop sensitivity, right? So it's a sensitivity drill, sensitivity exercise. And sensitivity is different from a technique. A technique is like a triangle choke, a roundhouse kick, a spin kick, a right cross. Those are techniques. An attribute is speed, strength, flexibility, agility, explosiveness, and then, of course, sensitivity. That is an attribute. You could have a very high level for a certain attribute, but that doesn't mean that you can fight. So just take, for example, any non-combat sport, okay? So, for example, cross-country running. If you look at a cross-country runner, the amount of endurance, that's an attribute. The amount of endurance that they're going to have is going to be phenomenal, all right? Does that mean they can fight? No, because if you put a cross-country runner versus a professional fighter, to me it's going to be a no contest, all right? Because that's not what they do. But so that's my point there, okay? But endurance is definitely an attribute, or any attribute is definitely something that can help you out in combat. It can help you, but it doesn't mean that you can fight. Those are two separate things, okay? So the people that are practicing sensitivity, like in Wing Chun and then also in Filipino martial arts, it can help you in a fight. But there's a lot of people also that train in those arts, and they mistakenly think that that means that they can fight. So they have awesome sensitivity in Wing Chun or Filipino martial arts, and they think they can fight. And like I said, that's a separate thing that is completely different. So having good sensitivity can help you, but fighting is still a different entity. You still have to know how to fight. So if you don't know how to fight, and just because you have good sensitivity skills and you have fighting techniques, it doesn't mean that you can fight. All right, fighting is a different thing. Uh, for example, let's take a bunch of like construction workers or lumberjack, right? Someone who works out in the woods, and it's a very physically demanding job. Usually, the dudes that do it are big, strong, tough guys, right? So they're big, they're strong, and they're tough. Those are all attributes, okay? Yes, those things can help you in a fight, but if the person isn't a fighter and he gets punched or something and he's going to be in shock that he got punched, or he's just too nice of a guy, he's like a big, nice bear, he can't fight. So that's not going to help him out. If he goes up against someone that's an aggressive dude that's willing to fight, it's no contest, okay? So yes, those things can help him, but it doesn't mean that he can fight. I think more so that's going to help someone like that is the environment that they're in. So he's a lumberjack, he's surrounded by other lumberjacks, they're all tough and they all act tough, and they go drinking together, and it's a rowdy area, and they all kind of like mess with each other and egg each other on and stuff like that. That will make them tougher and more prepared for fighting than just being strong, okay, in my opinion. So those are different. Attribute is different from the ability to fight. So that's the point that I want to make. Okay, so now I've made several videos on combat trapping. Okay, and like I said, in the Filipino martial arts, we learn Hubad and we learn trapping techniques, right? The reason why the combat trapping that I showed in my videos is so different from what is traditionally taught is I got what is traditionally taught, and in a previous video I've said before that what you learn in traditional martial arts, that's the academic version, okay? That's like doing an experiment in a controlled environment at the school, in a classroom, in a laboratory, and that's not the same as doing it on the job, at the site, in real time. That's two separate things. So I got what I learned from the traditional martial arts, and then it is what you're seeing in the video is my evolution for me personally, how I evolved it to use it in combat, to use it in real life. So I'm not disrespecting the traditional material. I got it and I modified it for me, and it's like, you know, you're in a classroom and you learn the material, and now you got to go apply it. And so when you apply it, it's going to look a little different. Now, your notes may be a little bit different from the textbook. So that is why my video, the material that I'm presenting is different. That is the more closer to ready for application version. But it's my interpretation. And I've said to you guys before that what I present on YouTube is my own interpretation of the Filipino martial arts. It's my interpretation of martial arts. So I try to not just present to you guys the textbook stuff. I try to go beyond that. And there's pros and cons to that. It's very, very customized by me. So in a sense, you're not getting the pure stuff, you know. But the positive thing is you're getting something that I've already put my experience through, and it may or may not work out for you. You may or may not agree with my methodology. So anyway, that's it for now. I hope it makes sense. Thank you for listening, and take care, folks.